Order. Councilor No Fire, would you bless this meeting, please?
Absolutely. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day and thank you for all your many blessings. And it is the time of season to be thankful for everything. We're thankful for our family. We're thankful for our friends that's come here today. And we thank you for this council and pray that your watch over us and your hands make us the right decision. And in your name we pray. Amen.
Yeah, thank you. Shelley, would you do roll call?
Sure will. Keith Austin.
Here.
Wes Novire.
Honey.
Harley Buzzard.
Here.
Joe Bird.
Honey.
Betty Coates. Here. Tom Crittenden. Joe Deere.
Honey.
Mike Dobbins. Here. Hayden Duncan. Rex Jordan.
Here.
Darrell Lake.
Here.
Laura Petskowski.
Here.
Mike Shambaugh.
Here.
Mary Bakershaw.
Ani.
Yo Smith. Denise Taylor. Here. Victor Vasquez.
Ani.
We have one.
Yeah, I'd like a motion to approve the minutes from the October 15th.
So moved.
Second.
And all in favor say aye. Aye. Sounds like approved to me. All right. So, reports. Miss Diane Kelly.
Hope everybody is staying very warm because it was cold in Adair County.
It was colder in Northern District.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard. You guys always get it worse than us because you're closer to the northern end. I just have to tell you about the Career Readiness Act. It was really a fluke, I guess. Last week, Mike Doublehead, who is the executive director for the Tahlequah Utility Authority, he watches our video stream every month, and he said he knew about the lineman training, and he said that he'd been talking with GRDA, and they have an interest in what we're trying to do with the lineman training. And right now, Okmulgee Tech is the only place that you can actually get the training in Okmulgee. And so I've had Travis Gully working with Okmulgee. And so, make a long story short, after he called, he said, Dinah, is there any way you could set up a meeting with me in GRDA? So we started talking, and before you know it, Kathy Adair's calling from Indian Capital, and she wants in on it. And now Tony Pivick might be with her to come to this meeting. So we called Okmulgee Tech and we talked to the guy that's the executive vice president over the workforce and the lineman training, and he put the coordinator on there. Now they're wanting to bring the instructor, so they're coming. So we've got a meeting set up, and it's all because of the Career Readiness Act and this training. And so the more the merrier. And if we could get an extension class and it be housed here in Tahlequah, and the utility authority is willing to use a staging area that they already have established, then we could actually do some of the training here. Wow. So we're in the process of pulling everybody together, and we're going to talk about it, and hopefully next month I'll be able to come back and tell you what we were able to do. So we're excited. Okmulgee Tech was actually very excited about the fact that there is an interest, and we've got a couple of people maybe that will be graduating this year, so we've got some poster children that we can put on that poster when we start doing some recruitment. So I just wanted to share that with you because you all were actively involved and you all signed on to the resolution for the Career Readiness Act, and I know Chief Hoskin is very excited about all of the stuff that we're getting ready to roll out. And we had our health department that contacted us about a medical assistance training program, a certified medical assistance training program. And we started dialogue last week with the Career Tech and Laura Lundberg, who works for the nursing program at Hastings. And we had a really good meeting, and there's classes that are already established at several of the locations, and what they're going to do is set aside a couple of the slots for us to put people in the training. So we're getting ready to roll some flyers out so we can do recruitment in December and January, because some of the classes will start the first part of February. So we're trying to, with the construction trades, that will help with some of the stuff that Gary's doing with housing. with this lineman training. Those are good paying jobs. And then with the medical assistants, these are things that our health department is saying that they're going to have a need for. So we're trying to address everybody's needs, and hopefully after the first of the year, you're going to see a lot more flyers going out about some of these programs. Phlebotomy was another area, and most of the schools are doing that. Northeast Tech up in Afton has a medical coding program, and they're also going to be recruiting for 18 students, and we're going to be sending flyers out about that. So we've got a lot of stuff getting ready to hit, and I just wanted to share that with you, and as we start progressing, I'll share more with you. The Certified Billing and Coding Specialist, here's some information, flyers, and I'll leave these back here if any of y'all are interested or you know of anyone that would be interested in taking the class. Hunter Palmer asked that I leave these and share that with you. We also have an event that's going on tomorrow at the Hard Rock, and it's a meeting with some of our workforce partners in Northeast Oklahoma to discuss career pathways in the hospitality industry. That is an area that a lot of our casino operations are having a difficult time pulling people in. They get their foot in the door because that's usually where they start out, and then they move to another job. And what we're doing is we're trying to develop some career pathways where they can start out at this level, work up to this level, and within so many months or a year, they could go up to this level. And so Hunter and his staff will be at the Hard Rock tomorrow with some of the workforce partners working on this. And I just wanted to share this with you. This is our career readiness emblem. And for every student who goes through the career readiness program, we're giving them t-shirts so that we can advertise our career readiness program and what it's all about, and share that with you. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you about is our Wayfinders program. If you've been to the clinic, at all of the entrances, there are people there at the clinic that can give you direction on where to go when they get into the clinic. George Roach with our vocational training program, Taryn Taylor and Austin Patton have been working with people that need to pay back their community service for their loans. We've got some of our veterans that are volunteering. We have some elders that are volunteering, and we also have some work experience program participants that are working on this. And we're assisting the health department with this operation until the end of the calendar year. So in January, hopefully a lot of the people will know about the kiosks, how to use them, and be able to get around. Talking Leaves is still in the top 4 among Job Corps with the onboard strength. Our center is at full capacity. Really, we're over full. My recruiters are doing an outstanding job. Our placement staff are doing a really good job, and every week we have our conference call. We're among the top 4 with Clearfield, which is one of the bigger Job Corps centers, and I commend the staff that are working out there every day. Sometimes they're working on weekends to finish an application so that they can bring them in the following week. Principal Chief Hoskin and Deputy Chief Warner will be over at our center, or maybe I should say Deputy Chief Warner and Secretary of State Jordan will be over at the Talking Leaves Job Corps on the Friday after our tarot banquet. Molly Jarvis is working on bringing Leadership Oklahoma to Tahlequah, and they'll be here Thursday through Saturday. And on Friday evening, they'll be at the Job Corps Center having dinner. And Pam Bakke in the Community Service Department will be working with them on making some baskets after they have their dinner. But they will be over there, and we're very happy to host that, and our cooks and our culinary students. I want to remind you of our tarot vendor fair that the Commerce Department puts together, and then following that evening is our tarot banquet. We've got a very interesting program this year. It's a little different. Some of you all will be on the agenda to either introduce or to speak, and I appreciate all of you all stepping up and being willing to help us out. Starts at 6 o'clock, and I'll try to get you out of there in an hour and a half. That's all I have.
Yes.
Diane, can you get with David Moore and teach him how to do a monthly report? You wasn't watching, just an inside joke. Go ahead. You gave excellent reports, Diane. I'm just letting you know.
Hey, David is a good friend of mine.
A friend of us too.
Is there, do you have an actual question?
No.
Counselor Deere.
Gee, Daryl.
Hey, Diane. I just want to say thank you for my community event. A lot of people in my district were pretty happy with the people that were there, and they got their questions answered, informative. They were glad since we hadn't had that type of environment recently. A lot of those guys were really engaged, and they said your guys were real personable and very informative when they asked those questions. So thank you. That was awesome. I appreciate it.
Thank you. One of the things the staff try to do is when they go out to, whether it's Jay or Pryor or to Stillwell or Salisaw, they try to make sure that if there's something that is pertinent to your respective area, that they know a little bit about it, so when they get there, they can help articulate that. So I appreciate their doing their homework.
Yeah, so they did really well, so thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor Crittenden?
Diane, the Wayfinder thing,
Yes.
man, that's a good idea. Whoever thought that up?
I believe that was the health department that thought that
Good
up.
one. Now,
We don't take credit for it. They just ask us to help put it
boy,
together.
I see that needed not just till the end of the year. Is there a way to expand that where, I don't know if Cherokee First, they could get, some of those are young, but some of them aren't. The elders can get 20 hours. Man, that's a good idea, because I'm praying, good Lord, that I don't have to visit that place and need to know my way around, but I think that'd be a good program we could extend out if at all possible.
Taryn Taylor, my special project assistant, she worked in higher education, so she was very familiar with the scholarship community service hours. And so she reached out to them, and then George went over and met with Barbara and them in the veterans area. And you've got some people that were really honored to be able to go up there and help out.
So after this run, like the first of the year, after that, I'd like to have their contact, whoever's in charge, in case there is some more people that want to do something like that. Because
Well, we put some work experience people up there so that we would have people that were dedicated to be up there, because sometimes with volunteers, if there's something going on in their household, they may not be able to come as regular as they would like. But we've put some work experience people up there so that we would have some people there. And I've told George, Taryn, and Austin, if we don't have anyone there, you may be going up there to work. So they're making sure we have that covered.
if it would fit some of these Cherokee First, now Marcia might hammer me about the policies on that, but if it would fit, like elders, I know a bunch that would love to get their 20 hours in, helping people in Cherokee find their way around the big old place.
We'll work with the health department and see what their plans are after the first of the year.
Good
and see what
idea.
we can do to help.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you.
Counselor Buzzard?
Diane, a couple of questions. Over at Job Corps, you probably told us this before, but what all do we offer over there? Like auto mechanic, electrician, those vocational programs?
We have 2 contracts with Home Builders Institute out of Washington, D.C. And in the Home Builders Institute, the 2 instructors are paid through them. We just contract with them. And one of the classes they teach is electrical, and then the other one is building and apartment maintenance. We also have a business technology program, and we have 3 health programs. We have CNA, we have medical terminology, and I believe the other one is advanced CMA. And then we also have our culinary, I may have already said that, but the culinary program.
Do you not have auto mechanics there anymore?
No, we've
And
never had
plumbing?
auto mechanics.
Have you ever had it there before?
No,
What about plumbing?
no. But we are through the career readiness for adults.
Okay,
That's
that's-
one of the things that we're doing with the construction trades. It'll give you a little bit of plumbing, a little bit of masonry, a little bit of carpentry, and a little bit of electrical.
That's
And
where I
then-
was gonna go with that.
And then you can come back and decide if one of those 4 trades you want to
Okay.
advance into.
And the other question is on the lineman's training.
Mm-hmm.
How did you come to say we're gonna do lineman's training? Did you have a request from a company that,
We
are
have
we gonna be
had-
able to put people to work after we do the
We
training?
have had a overabundance of requests from people, but they have to take a test.
I see.
They have to have a certain grade point to get in there. And the class is a $36,000 per individual, and it's a 2-year training program. And what we're looking at is to try to customize it whereby you wouldn't actually have to be in the classroom as much, but do more hands-on out in the area. When we were talking with Mike said a lot of the rural electric companies, a lot of the utility companies, because of the internet and their underground cables they're building out there for all these people, there's going to have to be some maintenance and upkeep, and they're going to have people that can actually go out there and do the work. And so a lot of the utility companies are looking at hiring people that can actually do this. So it's going to open the door for a lot more people to be hired, but they're actually going to have those skills in that trade.
So you're looking for people to make a 2-year commitment
Yes.
on the lineman training?
Yes. Good paying jobs.
Okay, well, I think you answered my question about the auto mechanics, the plumbing, the electricians and stuff like that, which I think is good. I think we need it. Probably masonry is probably included in that.
Yes, it is.
That's good. I think we really need it. Good job. Thank you.
Are there anybody who's not asked a question yet?
I just want to go off Harley's. That's a good idea. You're talking about the plumbing. Is there a way you can work with some of the tarot vendors to do that? Because
Yes.
the plumbing, you have to do that apprentice,
Yes,
almost like the electrician. Then it's better in the field,
yes,
and they have to have that, not just a book. Is that in place? I don't know.
yes. We've got several tarot vendors right now that we have placed people with that have come out of our buildings trades program,
Yeah.
or they've come out of one of our other training programs, and they're actually doing their work-based learning or their apprenticeship with those contractors.
Okay, and are we supplementing those contractors with anything for them doing that, or are they just taking on the pay and the
We
labor
have
costs? and all
on-the-job
that?
training, and most of them don't want to do the paperwork. They just want to hire them right out because they have a need, because right now there is if you notice, if you drive down the industrial park in any town, there's signs up everywhere, hiring now, hiring, hiring, hiring. And that's one of the reasons why Hunter and them are having this recruitment fair tomorrow. And there was a announcement where they're actually hiring for some of the casinos for people just to come straight to work. We
Yeah.
don't even have to do OJT anymore.
Yeah, because
We
that'd
can
be a
just
good
refer them
overlap
for
with the
jobs.
tarot, whether it's finishing or peering or whatever.
Yeah. But we do have OJT if anybody's interested and wants to do the paperwork.
Right, if they can do that.
That's right.
you know. Thank you.
Just real quick,
Yes,
we did
Councilman.
offer plumbing fast track training, and we didn't have anybody sign up to take it. But we got with ICTC, we organized it, and then finally ICTC had to even drop the program after they even hired an instructor, because nobody out there was interested in taking plumbing classes. Remember that?
Yep.
I think it's
You know,
because they-
you never know from one year to the next whether or not that is something that everybody wants to go into, or whether, you know, it just changes.
Good idea.
Counselor Shaw?
It's just a comment. I found it interesting that you broke down that you had 25 people apply to take the lead-based paint supervisor program, and only 7 showed up.
That's right.
How disappointing that is.
Well, it is and it isn't. It just depends. The contractors, we tried to look at our tarot vendors, and to be honest with you, I think what happened was some of the people said that they would send these people, and then they got short-handed, and they were on projects, and they really needed them to stay and work as opposed to being out for that week for the training. That's what we think. Now, had we offered it in the evening, but the guy that we get is certified through the state, and he's the only guy that teaches it, and he doesn't want to teach classes in the evening. He just wants to do day classes.
It's interesting. Thank you.
You have a question?
How about welding? I mean, I kind of missed out on a little bit of it. I had to take a phone call, but is welding offered in anything?
We did a whole series of welding classes at the Union Hall in Tulsa back 2 years ago. We had probably about 6 or 7 different classes, and just about everybody that went through there was hired. We had to have them in Tulsa in order for them to get hired.
I know my son worked pipeline, and there's some serious opportunities as a welder, and that pays very, very well.
Well, that's something that we may want to look at again. We tried to have some of the welding classes, like Daryl was pointing out, in some of the other areas.
Wouldn't show up.
We didn't get the takers, but when we went to Tulsa, we had each class full. In fact, we had people trying to get in. That's why we had to have so many different classes, because we had more people wanting in than we could set the classes up for.
Thank you.
Well, I don't see any other hands, so,
One more.
yes, Sean.
Well, don't, can you revisit the welding thing in the other areas? And we'll make a bet, somebody buys dinner, but I can get you some folks that, like he was saying, I know some people, and it, you know better than I do, but it's ridiculous amount of money that they're making. And we could get you some folks.
We're trying to work with Career Tech because they are actually cheaper as far as the tuition on classes, and they can start the classes and customize them to what our needs are. In some of the areas, they do not have the welding equipment. What they did is, because they took it off their catalog, that equipment has moved to another location. And because we have Career Tech all over the whole state, some of that welding may have shifted and went to Altmulgee, or it may have gone to Tulsa, it may have gone out to Langston or someplace like that. Some of the areas are reluctant in trying to start those back up. Now, we did try to have a class, like Daryl said, in one of the locations with this construction area, but because of the amount of time, we could not get the number of students that we needed. So we had to look at another location. So the location has a lot to do with it, and whether or not they have the equipment in place. So,
If you don't mind, just holler back or something.
I can let you know.
I'm really interested in that.
okay,
Thank you.
I can let you know.
No other questions?
Good report.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
Your report is new and enlightening every month.
Thank you. Thank you. We don't mind the questions.
Director Etheridge, I see you're in the room, so I'm going to assume you're ready to report.
Good afternoon. You have a report, but I have about 3 things that you do not have. So we'll take care of those first. And then if you have questions regarding our report, I'll try to answer those. First off, are we hosting Intertribal in January?
Yes.
Okay. Can you have your daughter
Yeah.
contact me, because we need to put her on the education agenda if we can on that. On our Public School Appreciation Day, and we have some new council members. So what that is we have 108 schools inside the 14 county area or contiguous counties that we recognize. The date is March the 5th. Just got, Chief approved that this past week, and we are up in the number of students. We're up 858 from what we had last year. We're over 30,819. We have not approved yet necessarily the figure that each student is, we'll award the school for each student, but that's in the works. And anyway, that is the date and time on that. So everyone, most generally tries to make it, and it's a fun day. It's a happy day because they all have a smile on their face. They're all receiving some revenue that they can spend however they deem. And of course, you just passed some legislation that that says they can still do that, but they need to take in consideration our heritage and when it comes commencement time and those kind of things. And so we intend to get that word out. It's been out and it's been in the newspaper, and we intend to get it out a little better through our meetings with our administrators when we get out and able to talk to them. Something that has came from admin that I can't take credit for, but you guys are wanting to know numbers, and I think Jennifer gave you some numbers last month, and this is to me a terrific thing that Chief of Staff has done here, and I asked his permission to be able to share it, and he allowed me to do so. And so we gave out 378 stoles last spring. Also, I'd like to commend this council for allowing us to, there was legislation to grant beyond the 14-county area, and so a number of these came from outside. And so we had 270 of those were on scholarship of the 378. And the 2 was in nursing. There were 55 associate. There were 249 bachelors, 55 masters, and 17 doctoral. One of the reasons for the survey was to determine the number of Cherokee Nation citizens that went from their graduation to employment with Cherokee Nation. And the percentage is not very good. I mean, it's about 8%. But it's something, it gives us a starting point that we can work on. And what happened to get this these figures was Chief of Staff went to Chrissy and to determine the number of stoles that was given, and then Chief of Staff went to IT and HR, and together they did a cross-reference to come up with our numbers. And there has been since then a new work group put together to study this. So hopefully we can give you some statistics that you've been requesting, and so I think this is a great step in getting out there and finding out our numbers. Any questions on either one of those two things?
I have a comment on the license tax to the schools. We're saying to them that we would like for you to incorporate or implement the culture and language aspect in their schools. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're saying. Right. Is there, I know we're giving them some funds for that, but it'd be neat if we could maybe award those schools that are really doing exceptional jobs there. I know we give them a check, but we don't say here Union or Jinx or Veneta or Muldrow. This school here is doing an outstanding job in the area of the culture and the language area there. We're not doing that. We're just handing them a check.
Yes, go ahead.
Does that make sense?
Yes, and we do want to recognize and celebrate those that are embracing the language of history and culture and teaching that and recognize those. So we'll see if we can't figure out some way to recognize and celebrate those and lift them up and do that public celebration.
I mean, that's just to kind of feel good. If they're doing something good, let's highlight
Absolutely.
that we understand and we recognize that they're doing that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Okay. We have a guest here today. Dylan, come on up here just a second. Ms. Shaw, this is, you're partly responsible here, and in a good way. We come in contact with Dylan and through an email, and Heading Nicely is Dylan Heading Nicely, and Dylan is the Native American director of law in Idaho, and so he's here kind of on a recruiting visit, and he was spent his day yesterday at Northeastern visiting with students there. He's out here at Sequoia this morning, visited with 3 classes, and he's the squeaky wheel that gets the grease, and I'm proud of him. I told him in there today, he was very persistent. He's proud to be a Cherokee, and he's proud to be able to wear a stole at commencement. And he was pretty persistent on trying to get one, and so he's, I would say, a big reason, one of them, that we're going beyond our borders, to recognize too. So, I mean, I know there's only so many things we can do, but that's for sure one of them that we can do, and that's good. And we have got to communicate, and he's going to get some students because he knows how to do it. He knows how to go about it. So I want him to come up here, and feel free to he's very good at impromptu. He did it last time, and so if you got a question or two for him, have at it.
Last name, you said it, but would you say this, your last name?
My name is Dylan Hedden Nicely.
Ed?
Hedden, Hedden.
Thank you.
Yeah, and as Ron said, I'm a citizen of the Cherokee Nation. My dad was born and raised in Tulsa, but before I was born, he moved up to Idaho. So that was where I was born and raised. So I'm at large. I went to law school at the University of Idaho, which is where I'm now a professor. And when I was in private practice, I represented Indian tribes in the Northwest. I primarily litigated water rights, and I represented primarily the Coeur d'Alene tribe in North Idaho, and they're doing a general stream adjudication right now. So I worked for them for about 10 years. I still do, even though I'm on the faculty at the College of Law. I was writing a memo to the council, the Coeur d'Alene Tribal Council this morning, updating them on that water rights litigation. But about 2.5 years ago, I had the opportunity to rejoin the faculty as a law professor, and the overall impact that I thought I could make as a law professor seemed much greater than the impact I could make as an individual advocate. And so really what I wanted to do was join the faculty so that we could get Native students going to law school and coming back and representing their communities. So that's what I've been working on. I inherited the Native American Law program at the University of Idaho. It's what I would describe as small but mighty, and we're trying to grow it. And primarily, we have a relationship with regional tribes around the Northwest, 11 tribes, 5 tribes in Idaho, and then another 6 tribes in Washington and Oregon. But because of my ties to Oklahoma, and especially the Cherokee Nation, I'd like to start pipelining some Cherokee students up to Idaho, either here or also some of our at-large Cherokee students from all over the country. I was here in June, and one of the questions that Speaker Byrd asked was about scholarship opportunities, and I didn't have much to report then. But one of the things that we've done since then, I've been working with our admissions, and so any out-of-state Native student that fulfills a couple of requirements, there's a pre-law 8-week camp that goes on at the University of New Mexico. If any out-of-state student that successfully completes that will get an out-of-state tuition waiver from the University of Idaho, and so they'll pay in-state tuition regardless of where they're from. If they're high achievers, we'll start stacking scholarships on top of that. So we're really making a big push. We're trying to have people come to the University of Idaho. But the last thing I want to make clear is I don't care where they go to school as long as they go to law, as long as they really fulfill their passion, if it's law, whatever. And so if y'all have any students you think want to get some information about law school, even if they want to go to Arkansas or OU or Tulsa, I'd be happy to talk with them.
Do you have any notable alumni that we may know of here? Do we know of any of our staff that's alumni or anything?
To date, the Cherokee, I went to a law school with a fellow named Micah Runnels, and he was born and raised in Tahlequah. He worked for Cherokee Nation Industries, I believe, or Enterprises, excuse me. And now he's the CFO at Potawatomi in Maine. His wife is from Maine. But to date, that's the only person that I know that either worked here or was from here. Hoping to change that in the short term.
Councilor Deere.
What's the average LSAT score you guys are looking at for admitting?
So Idaho is a 153. For those of you that are not familiar, to get into law school, you take the LSAT or the LSAT, which is basically just the law school version of the ACT. It's on a scale of 120 to 180, and a 152 is a 50 percentile. So 50% score higher, 50% score lower than that. So we're right in the middle. In comparison, at least as of last year, OU was a 157, a little harder to get into. TU, I think, was a 154, 155, so pretty much right around the same as Idaho. And then Oklahoma City University was like a 148, so quite a bit lower. So we're, that's our median, but we also, we try to look at each applicant from a holistic perspective. I have a student that she's a Nez Perce tribal member from Idaho. She scored, I think, a 148 on the LSAT, so well below our median. She's one of our best students, bar none. She's working at Kanji and Katzen this summer, who is the person, Reyes Kanji was the litigator for the Creek Nation and Sharp versus Murphy. So we recognize that not every student is going to be good at taking a standardized test. But that's what we're looking at. If we get a student that starts getting just a couple of points above that, we are looking at offering them scholarship dollars.
So do they have the fast track and the just a standard program or not?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Sometimes they said that you can do a 2 or a 3.
Oh, I see. So like TU has or at least they had at one point, a master in jurisprudence. The only degree that we offer at the law school is the JD, which is a full-blown law degree. The Master of Jurisprudence, I think, is a 2-year program, and it's not designed for someone that wants to write the bar and become a lawyer. They just want to get kind of a foundational understanding of laws. Typically, it's designed for policy people or people that are going to go into business, not necessarily the law side of things. At this point, we don't offer a program like that.
Okay, thank you.
Are there other, Counselor? Yes.
Hi. I want to repeat this back to you to make sure that I understood what you said. So any Native American student from anywhere who has completed a program at the University of New Mexico, can you state again the name of that?
It's called the Pre-Law Summer Institute.
Okay.
And it's been going on at the University of New Mexico for the past 30, actually John Echohawk did it, so 40 plus years.
That's my alma mater.
Yeah,
so it's like,
right.
Yeah.
So if they successfully complete PLSI, we're offering out-of-state tuition waivers.
Out-of-state tuition to the law school.
That's right.
specifically.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
And if anyone would be interested, I don't have any information about programs that we offer undergraduates. That's not really my wheelhouse, but if we have at-large citizens that are in the Northwest that might be looking at Idaho, I'd be happy to, or anywhere, but primarily kind of in the region, I'd be happy to get information, direct them to our Native American Student Center.
Thank you.
Counselor Legg.
I think this would be a good idea to put maybe on our website, because right now, we have certain scholarships for those that have graduated their 4-year, and if they want to go on to get something else, they're specialized though, as far as need. And I think it was brought up during council, do we offer anything for law students? Well, it don't necessarily have to be us paying for it, but if we put this on our website under our scholarships about possible scholarship opportunities, I think that'd be very helpful. It's not us paying for it, it's just them taking their test, passing, and if they can get to the deal in New Mexico, then, there's a pathway to law school.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that might be something we might look at.
And the other thing we can do is get some literature down to Ron so
that'd be real good.
he can, as people walk through or go into the career or the university services office and those sorts of things.
Or Facebook share.
Any other questions?
Absolutely.
Dylan, we appreciate you coming and working to inspire students to pursue their passion in law.
Well, thank you very much. It really is an honor. So I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Thank you.
Thank you. And do you have further reporting?
Okay, any other questions for me? Yes.
Thank you.
This is aside from those 3 things that you brought up, but had a superintendent contact me that's been in touch with superintendents, and I think with you, and I really like this idea. Some folks have done some research. There's a teacher shortage, and I think even here at NSU, the numbers aren't good for people going to school to be a teacher. And if you're in the field, you see different things throughout the year. in years that, I mean, that's just a fact. And they were talking about developing some kind of direct study for education. And are you familiar with what I'm?
I visited with superintendent, local superintendent last week regarding that. Sure did.
Is that possibility on the conversations?
Oh, yes, most definitely. And I was gone. What I like to do is try to get out to these county meetings with these superintendents, and especially when they have tri-county, because I can hit a bunch of them at one time. And anyway, I had to miss the one. There's another one coming up, and we'll make sure we make it a point to talk to them regarding
I can't take
that.
credit for that idea, but I thought it was sure a good one.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I agree. It is.
Just thank you, keep me updated on that deal if you don't mind.
Okay.
If you meet around there, I'd like to be in on it.
Okay.
Meet around Adair County. And
Yeah, Adair County has a monthly meeting. They do.
Right.
And I think in January, they'll be back with another tri-county meeting, so which would probably be the best time to. There's a number of things that need to be spelled out. You know, we discussed one earlier, and then this right here. I agree with you. Yeah. I asked the question whenever posed. You know, whenever he brought it to my attention, I said, "Well, are you guys helping yourself by when they do come to you for a job after they say retired?" I mean, because a lot of them are hiring retired teachers who are still, by the way, very, very good teachers. I'm going to tell you, in fact, some of the best. I mean, they still have the drive in them, and especially because they're drawing the retirement, and if they're willing to go ahead and pay them, not just $15,000, but go ahead and pay them, and some say, yeah, we're having to negotiate, and we start at 9 years experience, and others say we start at 13. You know, so if they're paying that above that teacher's retirement, then yes, yeah, you're going to get some good teachers in that way right there. You know, that still have the drive in them. You know, so that'll be talked about as well.
Councilor Duncan.
I was just going to echo the same thing. I think the same superintendent probably contacted me, and I'm glad Sean brought it up. If you would keep me up on as those talks happen and different things. And I think what he was talking about more too was encouraging these kids who are in school right now to go into that field rather than
right.
You know, because nobody's going. He said, you know, he referenced the NSU program. You know, has not very many students in the education program as a whole.
Well, I've said myself all along, and this has to be preached out there as well. Math and science, we need them. Mr. Qualls, you can talk to him here in just a second. I'm going to tell you, we was in on a couple, and we didn't get to them fast enough. So we're having to you know, Miss Schultz teaching a math class because she just didn't feel that we had an adequate enough you know, a pool to draw from as far as a teacher, and so she does an excellent job. She's doing it herself. So I agree, couldn't agree more. And we're especially in math and science. We just don't have them. They're not there.
If Ms. Schott is teaching the math, but we hired her to be the administrator as principal, who's taking care of those duties?
I agree, but it's just when they're not out there, and she wants to make sure that these students get, you know, what they deserve to have.
She's an excellent teacher. She used to tutor my kids.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, we're lacking there then.
Yes, we are.
Short-handed.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
I've got one thing else. Hey, would you check, see if this is something we need to do from the Sequoia High School Board to the council? Is to do a resolution to pursue the joint venture, if it's possible, through the BIE for Sequoia High School. See if that's something that we need to do in a formal way. I know we've stated it. We might even testified in that, but I'm not sure we have anything in writing to that effect.
Okay.
If that's something we need to do. Would you look into that, Todd?
Yes, sir. I will tell you that Kim Teehee and the Government Relations Group has been working on that with BIE, and I'll see if I can get you an update, even informally, for the next council meeting. But that is one of the things that we're trying to look at to see if it's an option.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Anything else? We're pushing our time real tight here, so if everybody's done, I think we appreciate you coming, Ron.
Okay.
Thank you, and have a great Thanksgiving. Thank you. All right, Verna Thompson. Is she here today?
She covered us earlier.
I think she's covered us well, fed us well, and we all want to thank Verna and her staff for doing a great job hosting us for Thanksgiving today. Leroy Qualls, representing Sequoia High School. You got a long report.
Good afternoon. I've got 5 pages, but I'm not going to go through all of these. I'm going to give some information that you do not have, I think, maybe, and what you have. The biggest thing there is your Hope Club activities, and you can see how busy that they are. Very busy. We support that club, and we try to help them, and we get requests all the time. It's just that they can only go so many times and do so many things. I was intrigued by the conversation that we just had on teacher shortage. I gave you the numbers on emergency hires 2012 compared to now. I don't see it any better next year because the legislature did make a big progressive move a couple of years ago in giving a teacher pay raise. However, it takes 4 years to complete a teacher program, at least 4 years. Some are on a 7 or 8 year program. Northeastern probably has put out as many good teachers as any institution in Oklahoma and was known for that and was a teacher college at one point in time. So it was mentioned that, and President Turner did have a teacher recruitment day a couple of years ago. Because we walked the halls trying to find a kid that was interested, and we did not. So we offered a little incentive to have a group go up. We wound up having about 12 or 15 kids go up. It's just that the teachers have had such a bad rap the last X number of years, and it's been all over the news that they don't get paid as other states do. So that's a large thing to overcome. And I'm not campaigning for higher teacher raises or anything like that, but it's busy. You mentioned Kim Teehee a while ago. She called me on a Sunday. It was about 2 o'clock. This was 2 or 3 years ago. She needed some information for a co-partner venture with Sequoia, and I ran out school and got on the computer and dug up a bunch of stuff and emailed it to her. So there's been some groundwork laid there. I just don't know where it's at, if it's anywhere, but you know, that of course interested me quite a bit. But I think the high school students becoming interested is one thing, because we host career techs. There's a lot of things kids can do nowadays, and you know, the career techs are doing a great job. It's a challenge. Everybody's fighting over the same product, which is these students coming out of high school. Okay, getting to my report. Football playoffs Friday night at Eufaula, which will be very tough. I think they're either 8-2 or 9-1. They're very good. Tonight we have a freshman tournament going on at our place. Our girls play at 8 and our boys play at 9. We canceled last night because of the weather, and we've added games so to try to get it in this week. Our high school basketball opens up the 3rd against Keys, and they have 8 air that Friday. Just found out a few minutes ago that the boys will play Moore first at the Tahlequah tournament, which is on the 12th. I haven't gotten any information on the girls yet. Our drama team did quite well, making state runner-up. Just about got there, and that's great for not even competing 4 or 5 years ago. Cross-country girls finished 3rd in the state meet, which was great. Boys finished 6th, which was really good. I've reported on softball. I would like to mention that to this point, for our fall activities, we've had 9 All-State already, student athletes. I'm amazed. We had 3 in a one-act play in the drama. We had 2 in cross-country girls, and 1 girl was state runner-up. 6 seconds off of winning state championship. And then we had 3 in softball. We had 1 in volleyball for a total of 9. So kids are off to a good start. And that's even hard to beat at the larger schools in some cases. I'm not saying we got more than anyone else, but we've got 5 student athletes signing this week to play at the next level. We had Riley Clinton sign last week with Eastern State College. And Wednesday we have 5 signings. We've got 2 boys signing with Bacone, 1 girl with Mercer University, another with Rogers State. Cross country has 2. One's going to Arkansas Tech. No, I'm sorry, they only have 1. Kayla Hart, the state runner-up. And our Thanksgiving meal is the 22nd, if you're around. Just a little hint, we're going to expand it a little bit this year from 10 to 1. High school kids eat at 11, and there'll be a lot of parents there then, so there'll be a little bit of time before 11 o'clock, if you catch my drift. And then elementary immersion will come in at 12, so probably around 12:30, the crowd will get a little bit smaller. So come and eat with us a week from Friday if you get a chance. Be happy to have you. And I appreciate you guys, and that concludes my report, unless you have questions on anything.
Counselor Shaw.
I want to tell you how much I applaud the Hope Club and the activities for Native American Month. Is there any chance they do any of these Native American activities throughout the regular academic year?
They do some.
This is to be applauded. This is amazing.
Oh,
I'm
I
really
was
proud
amazed
of it.
at that schedule.
It's really nice.
I'm thinking, what are they going to do about their class? That's our first scare.
This is awesome.
Counselor No Fire.
The drama play.
Right.
I mean, my goodness, Miss Ray up there, y'all really missed a great play that they had this year. They had the Church and State, which is what my consideration, they won, they tied, and they ended up becoming runner-up. But they really, it was really just a great play overall. The context of it, the students are amazing up there at what they do. I think even last year, she had a student that went on to go to college for drama, didn't she?
Right. We have the last several years. We had one that just graduated New York City University, and now he's working on some staff up there. Garrett Million.
Yeah.
Doing real well.
And, just far as, I know they kind of had some technical difficulties on the stage. I think there's some lights going up and breakers. Is there anything?
As you can, there was too many plug-ins into one outlet that kept blowing it.
So they need some different technical people back there on the students to try to figure it out.
Different extension cords.
Yeah, different extension cords. But the lights, they came off and went on twice, and these students, they never acted, it was
they kept their cool.
Oh, yeah, it was amazing.
And keep in mind, that gym wasn't really built for drama.
Right.
We're just lucky to have a stage on the end, but everything else is kind of makeshift. I watched one in the cafeteria before.
Yeah.
If you can imagine that. They built a stage in there, and that's where they had the rehearsals, and because everything is so busy.
Well, they did a great job, and I'm excited to see the next play that's coming out for Christmas. And I encourage everybody on the council to, next time they have a play or an act, you got to come see these kids. They enjoy everyone's support, and when you show up, it's just they're excited to see that one of the council members are up there and supporting them. So, but they did great, and I really appreciate what Miss Ray did. So
they're fun kids.
They are.
I look forward to the day when we build a stage with a gym as an afterthought, as opposed to a gym and then a stage as an afterthought. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you mentioned that. From the BIE, they wanted a priority list, and I just sent it in last week. And on that is a performing arts center. So it's being put into the system. Now, when will it be funded? If it is funded, we don't know.
Great. So, are there other questions? Great. We're just about to get back on time, and we're great. So thank you again for inviting us to Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
As many as possible, I hope will be there.
Thank you.
Now, I see that there's no old business pending, no new business pending, but we do have an announcement I was asked to make. You should have received an email in the last hour or two from Tara Lee regarding a proposed change regarding the MVT legislation. And please take a look at that before council tonight. It's a proposed change from the chief regarding that legislation for this evening's agenda.
One more thing.
Yes.
Start at 10 after next meeting.
Start at 10 after for next meeting. Okay. I ask for somebody to
Move we adjourn.
move we adjourn.
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Good deal.